We all know that septic systems are supposed to have a watertight septic tank, but can you fix it if it actually starts to leak? That's today's question, and we're going to get into it today. I'm going to explain what my thoughts are, my opinions, and maybe if you disagree, you can let me know down below. Before we get into that, though, when was the last time you had your septic tank pumped? And does your pumper check if the tank's at the right level when he's pumping, or does he just stick the hose in there and suck all the stuff out? Leave that comment below, tell me, and let's have that discussion. Now that we're getting into things, we need to kind of discuss the basics. So a septic tank is a big concrete box. There's nothing special to it. It's just a big rectangle, or sometimes circle, depending on where you're at, but it's a big rectangle. And the best way to think about it is it's like a giant vat where once you flush a toilet, run a sink, bathtub, all that liquid plus the stuff is going to go into it. Its only job is to hold the liquid and separate the solids from that liquid, so you get more clear liquid going off and into the drain fields. Over time, it's going to fill up, so that's where you got to pump it out. And that's why I wanted to know, does your pumper actually look to see if the liquid level's at the correct level? Because they're usually the person who's going to tell a homeowner when things start to go wrong. Most times, if that's not the case, it'll be when you go to sell the house and somebody has it inspected. That's where you're going to find out that you had issues, right? A good pumper should always let you know, hey, the water level's not quite right. Either it's too low or it's too high, so you can get ahead of it before you get sewage into your home. Old style septic tanks used to be what's called a mid-seam. So they would basically precast half, precast the other half, and they would seal the two together. Unfortunately, there was no real oversight back in that time period, so if they're supposed to seal it, nobody really checked if they did, and sometimes you got unlucky and the guy didn't seal the tank. So what does that mean? Well, that means that the water can escape through the seal in the middle of the tank. A lot of times people think leaking tanks come from cracks or structural integrity issues of the concrete. That can happen. I'm not saying it won't happen. It's not nearly as common as the seal failure. A seal failure is usually where most of your leaks are going to occur. When you're looking for a leak in a septic tank, you have to think about where's the water level at. In a normal system, the water should always be at the invert of the outlet. Basically, that is the pipe leaving the tank. It should be right at the bottom of it, and it should never go up or down. When you're looking for a leaking tank, you have to look at the outlet line to see what's happening. If you have water running out of the tank and water is not being introduced from the home, that means you have water infiltrating the system. If you open the tank up and the water level is significantly below the outlet line, that means the water is leaking out. You want to make sure that that tank is watertight, and most commonly, again, the seal is where the failure is going to occur. So this brings us up to our question of, can you fix a leaking tank? My answer is most times no. And here's why. When you have a seal failure, you can purge the tank and reseal it. The issue is if you don't clean it well enough, you still kind of run into the same issue. So what will happen is the water level in the tank will fall, and that's because it's leaking, right? Makes perfect sense. If you don't get a good adhesion to the wall to reseal the mid-seam, it's going to just keep doing that. I've been told that what you really want to do is you want to clean the inside and the outside of the tank, seal both ends to get a proper seal on everything. But here's the other issue. Most guys aren't going to warranty that work. And when it comes to repairs, especially in construction, if the contractor's not willing to warranty the work, that means the contractor does not really think that the repair is going to stick, right? I think, in my opinion, it's a waste of money in order to pay somebody where they don't even really think that it's going to stay and last that long on their own. Whereas if you install a tank, they're going to warranty that tank. They know that new tank is brand new. It's perfect. It's good. It's been tested. The chances of you having a defect such as a mid-seam leak on a top-seam new tank, very low. Now, that's not to say that new tanks don't have problems. I've seen plenty of new tanks that are cracked from the start, but you don't run into the issues of the seal. Old systems, they were mid-seams. The common issue is the seal, not necessarily the concrete. So how we've dealt with that nowadays is you just go up. You make the lid your seal. It's much simpler. In my opinion, it's also a better practice. The next concern we need to think about is economics. It's not cheap to reseal a tank. So if you're going to spend the money, and typically it'll cost about a third of the tank, if not half of the tank's value, if you're going to spend a third to half of the tank's value on something that may work, why not just spend a little bit more and get something that you know will work? Granted, I realize that everybody's in different areas. They have their own problems. But you don't want to run into this issue where you spend all this money on fixing a problem and it didn't fix the problem, and now you got to fix it again the right way. For perspective, I had this issue happen recently where they pumped down the tank, patched the tank, we filled the tank, reevaluated the tank, and guess what? Still leaking. So now they're out all this money, and the tank is still, like, the problem was never fixed, and it's only been a week, right? Unfortunately, this does happen. And I'm making this video so that way you guys can understand that it's not always the end of the world to have to replace something. It does happen, right? It's a part of home ownership where things are going to break, you're going to have to fix stuff. And, you know, you can attempt to gamble, in my opinion, gamble on a cheaper solution being the correct solve. But if speed is what you want to care about, you gotta spend a little bit more money to get the proper solution. Unfortunately, I don't think tanks can be patched. Now, if you have a leak on the inlet or outlet seal, same issue. It's not that bad to fix, but basically what you do is you just dig down and you pack it full of cement, and then now you're good to go. The seals failing on the inlet outlet line are very common, and again, they're not quite as they're not going to be as consequential as a mid-seam tank, and the reason why is not as much water is able to get out. Okay, let's say that you have maybe a 1/4 inch drop of the entire tank. It might be 10-ish gallons of water. That's not that much, right? But if you have 2.5 feet of liquid, now we're talking a couple 100 gallons of water. That's significantly more liquid going to the surrounding area, to which you can have issues with cavitation. You can have issues with infiltration into like your water line, like your well. I don't necessarily agree with that idea, but that is something that can technically happen. It depends on the distance of where your well is in relation to the tank. Do you have a drilled well versus a hand dug well? Like, there's so many different variables that go into that, so it's a lot harder to quantify if a leaking tank next to a well is going to get into the well. Good design and good placement of your sewer and your well system should make it to where that's basically never going to happen. That's why, at least over here, we make them all separated by about 100 foot. That's pretty big distance between the two. So if one of them decides it wants to start acting up, it's not going to interfere with the other one. So if you have a burst pipe on your well, it shouldn't be influencing the septic. And if your septic's leaking, it shouldn't be influencing your well. I know we covered a lot of ground. I hope that you found this useful and enjoyable in some way, shape, or form. If you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I have videos posted every day in the world of well and septic. I'll talk to you guys next time.